Live streamed. Okay, so we are going to be looking at the stars to clear the pathway to your success. And we're here today with Tammy Goulet and Julie Johnson. Okay, so Julie Johnson's going to pop on screen because we're going to discover how this works based on Julie, based on you, based on what's going on in the world. Hey, Julie, how are you?
Hello, so good. How are you?
Good. So we are live. And we are right here. We are literally going in and we are going to look at stars. We're going to look at success. We're going to look at how to become recession proof. We're going to give tips for you, tips for the audience. We are just all here, like with bells on, with our starry eyes on, because this is really important. It is a critical time. When I did the 2023 forecast this coming week, is why I named the year Power, is why I talked about the themes of love and success and money. And it's a lot. Next week's going to be a lot. I'm going to be back here next week by myself, just talking about the a lot, but we want to get people ready. We want to give people like tools and tips and things. So we kind of skidded in here, as you can tell. Poor Tammy wasn't going to be on camera, but now she is. So Tam, if you want to stay on camera, you can. If you don't have to. So you can do whatever you want to do. And I'm going to now introduce myself, then I'll introduce Julie. So I am Kim Woods. I am a Chief Intuitive Strategy Officer, and my mission is to create rich and powerful leaders. And I do this through my success-making methodology that over 20,000 people have already participated in. And I help people clear their pathway by using the stars and strategy. And Julie Johnson's here with me. She's Rhino Julie. She is amazing. She is part of the Dames. That's how we met. But we met and we were like, oh my God, we have to do things together. We have to do all the things. She has tons of energy. She has tons of great ideas. She started out, she was like miserable. She was broke. She said she was overweight, and she created a successful gym, studio facility line, making over 7 figures. And so she's reached the, pinnacle of success, if you will. But then she was like, no, not finished. The pandemic is here. I've got to shift. I've got to shuffle. So I am going to open up a VI service company so that people that I serve can focus on their zone of genius so that they can do what they're so good at. And I and my team can lift off everything that they are required to do for business, but may not have the facility to, the capacity to, or the ingenuity to. So Julie, welcome.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm watching us on LinkedIn Live right now. That is so cool.
I love that. Well, we're here. Here's the thing. We're here to talk about success, of course. We're here to talk about what the facility is for that. But we're also here to talk about how the stars can actually help us, not only from a foresight and planning perspective, but their actual energy. So I'm going to do a star peek with you, which is what we talked about. It's super exciting. But before we do that, I want to lay the foundation. Why am I talking about success so much? Why am I talking about the freaking becoming recession proof? And I'm doing the air quotes with recession because could the media stop talking about this, please? Because I'm going to tell you, through the lens of the stars, nope. Through economics, yes, but it's really because of free will. So the stars can lay out your pathway for potential. The stars can lay out your strategy for success, but then we can do what we want. So it's how are you aligned with that? How are you in the flow with that? So I know we got a handful of questions before this, and a lot of it was balance and flow, and I'm going to answer those towards the end. But let's talk about this. The stars, I got to tell you, the stars obviously had a massive downturn in 2020, like crazy, almost like so much that when I looked at it, I was like, holy crap. But then we ended up shoveling $6 trillion into the economy. So it was staved off. Then in 2021, there was a lot of downward pressure that year. Nope, threw more money in. No worries, we staved that off. So this is why, because we threw so much money in, and I'm speaking from the US, but really globally, because we threw so much money in, this is why the Fed has decided, well, we've got to raise rates because we have inflationary pressure. Because when you throw money at things, it's like each dollar is worth less. So there we go, right? So now we have the Fed raising the rates to lower inflation over the like 10 times in the last handful of months. That's a contracting energy to the economy, which is why people are saying, oh my goodness, henny penny sky falling in. And yet we just signed an infrastructure bill. We do have the Ukraine war going on. So that's both contracting and expanding. We've just got a lot of things going on. So it's like whiplash. Don't you think it's like whiplash? It's like, wait, what is happening here? It's like, it does seem like it's a downturn. It doesn't seem like a downturn. Where are we? How are you feeling this, Julie?
Well, my personal life and business life has definitely been whiplash over the past few years.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it seems like the world is feeling it too. And then everyone I talk to as well, I ask them, I'm like, did you go through a lot of crazy change in your business and personally in the last year? And they're like, yes. And then most of them, I've been talking to them and we all kind of feel a shift coming out of it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't wait to hear your thoughts on all of that.
Yeah, I will tell you that the months of May, especially towards the end of May, all through June and until next week were a major lift. Like for all my clients, I was telling them, launch at the beginning of the year, launch in June, and then we're going to be doing some more quieter activities, I've got to tell you, for the rest of the year until we get to Q1 2024. But it doesn't mean you have to stop everything. There's just things that are better to do. You have more support when the stars are doing certain things, and the support that's going to start as of after next week, that's a whole thing. But like after next week, it is going to be much more, it's going to be a little bit softer and quieter, but it's also because we're moving into the new way of leading. And the new way of leading is much more collaborative. It's much more human connection. Yes, I know what's going on in AI. I'm not immune to that. But you're already starting to see people messaging about, let's put the human back into marketing. Like, let's put you know what I mean? Let's put that nice, I even had someone I talked to 2 weeks ago, he just sends handwritten notes. And I was like, beautiful. Doesn't that feel yummy and spicy, right? This is that. This is why it matters. And so when we're looking at timing, this is for everybody. We're going to look at Julie, but we're going to look for everybody. We're looking at timing. We're looking from July 22nd to September 15th. This is where you're going to have much more individualized, much more softer, much more open, collaborative communication for people. You're going to be thinking loyalty, appreciation, things like that. You do that and you're going to lay such a solid foundation for yourself. You can still sell. I wouldn't do a big launch. I wouldn't do a big kickoff. I wouldn't do a big, huge, I wouldn't really anticipate I'm doing this massive things and throngs of people going to come. Doesn't mean it can't happen. If you are in the health fitness industry, beauty industry, it can. But other industries, I'd be really surprised if it did. Now, if you had things that were in the mix for a really long time, those can come together. But I'm talking about new things. So how does that feel for you for your timing?
Feels great. Yeah, I'm always, I like to just kind of make things easy for myself.
Mm-hmm. Oh.
You can't tell by looking at my life, but that's my new mantra. How do I minimalize everything? How do I make things easy? How do I make things feel good? How do I protect my health instead of sacrificing myself for my business? That's where I'm at. So I'm all ears.
I love that, because I had that as one of your points. So literally did have that. So your stars are like, yay. She's got a big win there. Yay.
I can feel my stars.
You can feel your stars. I love that. So here's the thing. As we get into this timing, you have to wonder, why are the stars doing this? Why are the stars saying we're going to pull back? We're going to have you go inward. We're going to soften things from a connection perspective, from an external validation perspective, from a big expansion perspective. It feels kind of, I don't want to say mean, but it doesn't feel awesome, right? The reason why they're doing it, especially now, is because they want each one of us, it's a huge ask, they want each one of us to be unwavering in our value. So I've been saying to my clients for the last handful of weeks, it doesn't matter if you make $1 million a week or if you don't make $1 for 4 months, you still have the same value. That nothing changes internally. Like you still have amazing offerings, you still have a great team, you still have a wonderful business. Just because you're not getting that input in like your own timing doesn't mean that those things aren't true. This is such a big ask. This is why when I was talking to my team at the like end of 2022, I was saying we should develop an entire year long program, because I usually just do an forecast at the beginning of the year, and then I kind of do my thing and here I go. This year I was like, I absolutely want to create a 12-month 6 times a year like program where people can know what the big timing is. It doesn't require a lot of time. It's like 2 hours every other month, and it's less than $300 for the entire year. I did that for times like this, times like next week, times when the ask is so big and people are like, what do I do? How do I figure this out? I'm like, come. You can come in, you can join us. It's easy, it's fun. And this is another reason why I did these lives. I've got a series of 8. So when you and I talked, Julie, I think you were the first person who said yes.
I was probably the first person you asked. Come on.
No, I don't know if that's true. I just know that we were talking and I was like, we were both leaning in and we were both like, yes, we don't even know what we're going to do, but we're going to say yes. And we're going to figure this out and it was going to be fun. And we're just going to figure this out. Right.
Yes. You captivated me.
Yay. And you captivated me. Yay. So let's talk about your stars. Are you ready for your star peak?
Yeah.
Okay. So I am going to give like an astrological reason. Like I'm going to be saying planet names. I don't expect you to know. I don't even expect people in the audience to know. I do this just in case. It's kind of like an astrology, like I got you a mano to mano kind of thing. Because if another astrologer is listening to this, they'd be like, why? Like, why, Kim? Like, that's ridiculous. So I don't expect you to be like, oh, my sun and my Mercury. Like, no, but you're going to, so literally let me be like the Charlie Brown, like parent during that part. And then you can listen to the reason why and how awesome sauce it is. Right. So your sun, you're an Aries. You're an Aries. That's an initiator. That's an awakener. That's a, I'm going to be bold and brave. It doesn't surprise me that you did things in the fitness industry. It's a very physical, very body oriented sign. Yum, right? Yum. Your Mercury, when you were born, you decided that I'm going to put Mercury right here. And it's in the 3rd house. So again, but what does that mean for you? What that means is that communication is key. It means that your voice is key. It means that how you show up and how you talk to people is one of the keys to your success. Huge key to your success. So talk to me a little bit about how you are showing up if you're doing live things, if you have a podcast, if you write blogs, or if you do, talk to me about anything you're doing like that.
I am just restarting because I was trying to figure out what my zone of genius is. That's why this is kind of crazy. And I was just like, I have no idea. So I'm just going to ask everybody I know. And they all told me that that's what I need to be doing. And so and then I was like, what do I want my podcast and my newsletter to be about? And the thing that I'm the most interested in is I've paid over $100,000 in online masterminds, coaching, like courses, and I love them. I can't get enough. But in every course, they're like, everything I'm saying is, like available for free on the internet, but it's just really hard to find and it's really hard to sort through. So I'm going to get people on my podcast and ask them for one gold nugget that's behind their paywall. And in exchange, I will blow them up. Like I will tell the world about them. I'll put them in my newsletter, but I want one nugget that you usually have to pay for from each one of my guests. And I am like crazy excited about it. And before, everything I was trying to do online and everything I was trying to speak about, it felt like me trying to speak about something or trying to think of. Yeah. And it's like, this is what I want to know from every person I talk to. Give me a nugget, just one. And then I'm going to share it with the world. And that feels good to me right now. But this is crazy that you're bringing this up.
it's going to be even crazier when I go into the other part of this that I wanted to talk about. Like, okay, so a few things. So you're an initiator, you're an awakener, so you can hit people at the beginning of a cycle. What does that mean? Like they're just discovering something, because discovery is a part of what you help people do. You help, and when I finish the rest of the sentence, you're going to be like, wait, what? You help them, and I can prove this because the Google Doc has been done before we started talking. You help them find hidden treasure. What is happening right now? Yes. And for the astrologers out there, I'll tell you why. It's because that sun and that Mercury that you have in the third house trines beautifully with Jupiter and Sagittarius in the 12th house. Those are for the astrologers. Everybody else, just who cares? So
and
what does that mean though?
Published a Forbes article on finding your treasure, finding your unicorn, which is finding your VA. And it was literally those words.
Amazing, right? Amazing. So your intention is, I love how you said blow up, because I wrote expansive intention, growth orientation, always. And it does require people to go inward a little bit. It requires you to go inward a little bit. So what does that mean? They need to have clarity, right? Because people, so say there are some people that are going to be listening to your podcast and be like, I'm going to be just like grabbing all the golden nuggets, right? That's not so much about receiving information and like receiving guidance. It's more like, I'm just going to take a bunch of stuff. That's fine. They can do that, but they're probably not going to be getting the true benefit of it. But if they listen intently and they say, ooh, this one feels like it's for me. This one aligns with me and what my intention is and what I want to do. I'm going to then more actively pursue that or use that or, open that up. That's part of you don't have to do anything for this, Julie. You just have to speak. Okay. So you don't have to develop a big roadmap for people. You don't even have to tell them how to use it. It's literally, you're like, I'm plucking this, here you go. I'm plucking this, here you go. I'm plucking this, here you go. Whoa.
Because I was just thinking about that. I'm like, I don't want to overwhelm or overload ever, but that's apparently not my responsibility to worry about that. Maybe I can have them listen to you and they can, use a power to figure out what's best for them.
100%. This is what that awakening energy is. It's Arian. So it's like, I'm going to start you up. I'm going to be that quick start. I'm going to be that jump start. I'm going to be that engine that goes vroom, vroom, right? You're not helping them drive it. You're just helping them turn it on.
Then that's my favorite part. I'm not good at the other part.
And I'm going to say something that, again, you're going to be like, because Jupiter in the sky right now is going to come and it's kind of like kissing your Venus, like just kissing your Venus, like, yay. And what is that? And it's in Taurus. What does that mean? Literally, I wrote making things easier, more straightforward and simpler.
What? Are you kidding me right now?
Nope.
Oh, how do I get to talk to you right now? I mean, everybody needs this. This is crazy.
Yeah, I know. Well, so this
in
is
a
what
good
I
way.
Right? Yeah, no, this is what I do. So when I walk into your stars, like if you came for a success accelerator, I would walk and we'd open everything. This is a star peak. And thank you so much for saying yes, because, people are coming in and I just want to demonstrate how unbelievably impactful the stars can be, astrology can be for you, because it removes second guessing. It removes doubt. It's so incredibly validating. But say you came here today and you hadn't quite figured that out. How illuminating.
Well, and I knew I was going to do it, but there's one really key piece that you zeroed in on, is that I'm just supposed to be the initiator, which is my favorite part. I've always been good at getting people excited about things and opening up their ways of thinking to new things, but I'm already on to the next new thing.
Exactly.
So
you are
fast, because that's my personality. And then I'm getting people excited about the next new thing. And hopefully the people that I have on my podcast, if anyone wants to continue past that nugget, they will literally have somebody to go to. That's not me. I'm just the excitable person. Which
I adore, which that's amazing. I was just talking to a client via Voxer today saying, we were talking about being podcast guest. And a lot of times when you're podcast guest, the podcast host really wants people to be in their world and they're looking to expand their world and, whatever, but that's fine. But the people who are listening to the podcast adore the host, not necessarily the guests. It sounds like you're going to be like, yes, because you create platforms. I literally wrote, you create solid foundations. So you create solid foundations so these people can meet each other. Like, and then they can go off and you're like, so think about it as a spark. I'm dealing with a spark. Boom, off you go. Yeah, another spark, off you go. Another spark, off you go. Awesome sauce.
That's a dream for me that I didn't even know that I had.
Yay.
Seriously.
Yay. I will tell you that as of right now, like you do know you have so much energy, right? Like you have so much energy. Okay. And it's going to be, okay, here's kind of the issue. Your energy revs up under the star configuration that's happening in the sky, but then the energy of this in the sky goes, yeah, but you have to slow down. So you don't want to be out of alignment. You're going to get impatient. So let's not get impatient, right? Let's use the energy and allow you to be like, okay, I'm still moving forward. So think about, this is what I wrote, like, channel this energy to create clear pathways for you, your team, your clients, and your prospects. So literally think about like what you want to clear. Like think about like if you're shoveling off the sidewalk kind of thing, you're coming up with paths. So create beautiful pathways. And that could be, I'm just going to initiate and off you go. That answers that question, right? I will say too, I know when we talked on our call, you were coming up with some newer offerings, right, that you were super excited about. So really solidify those over the next few weeks, like come up with an updated rate card, like test and boost like any lead magnet you might have around that. Develop an integrated outreach platform, clean up your email database, fortify your CRM one. Like these are things that are like, meh, you want to initiate and stuff. You have teams. This is what you do. Right? This will be so great because I will tell you the spigot will start turning on for you in Q4.
Whoa. I'm excited. I'll be so ready.
Yeah. And then literally I wrote, do you have a podcast? Do you have a newsletter? Do you have any sort of like, yeah. And I'm like, if not, create one.
Are you kidding? Because it's literally this morning, because I used to have one and it wasn't, when something doesn't feel good anymore, I just stop. I'm really good at that.
Yeah. As Aries are really good at that. Yeah.
This is awesome. This could not have come at a more perfect time.
Okay. I'm going to push you a little bit though. There's one other thing that you're going to be like, what is happening right now? Okay. Have you ever thought of writing like a story series at all? Like anything that's like super relatable to real life, has some personal anecdotes, has some like identifying characteristics. Have you ever thought of doing anything like that?
You mean, so I'm in the middle of a difficult thing. I have an editor who is pulling stories out of me.
Uh-huh.
And it is so, like, when I'm with her, it's amazing because she's
yeah.
But I have such resistance, it's insane.
Yeah, 100%. Because it's vulnerable, right? Because you're like, I'm the initiator. Let's go. I'm gonna be. You have very vibrant energy. You've got that like uplifting spark, right? So that's good. That doesn't negate this. There is this requirement though in your stars that wants to be, I don't want to say softer, but like more relatable, more engaging, like more connecting. People identify with story. They do. They identify with story.
I think my issue with it is that I change myself and my story. Like I evolve very, very fast.
Yep.
And it's like writing down my story. It makes me feel like I'm not that person anymore, like at all. Like I was married. I forget I was married. I was married at 18. Yep. He was 10 years older. I forget that even happened because I am like not that person anymore. And so even my past podcast episodes, I found myself erasing some of them because I'm like, that is not even me anymore. I don't want anyone to see that. So you've picked up on something. Like I'll be open. I'll share it right now. Like that is something that I have resistance about.
Well, think about this though. If you're finding hidden treasure for people and you're finding golden nuggets for people, you're laying a pathway that it might be super identifiable for somebody and you can still move on. I tell people, don't share your story until you've resolved it. You know what I mean? Because you know how like if you're going through something, I mean, unless it's in your like really intimate container, but like in the general world, podcast is general world, right? Most times. So in your general world, you're only going to want to have demonstrated like, here's the story, here's the issue, here's the outcome. So so if I think it would help you thinking about it from that perspective, like you're presenting the outcome, you're presenting the solution, you're presenting the golden nugget out of it. And then you can just leave them for people and they can find them and pick up where they want to, like from that point.
You are brilliant. And I think that is the issue, is that each time I would share a story from my past, I would wrap it up where I am currently, with where I am currently. And that is a story that has not been finished yet. And then it would feel super duper strange to just have that out there in the world, because my everything shifted. Like where I thought I was ended up not being where I was, and I changed it. And then that just wasn't even like a truth anymore. So that was perfect insight.
Yay. Yay.
Wow.
Yeah, because that will be super helpful for you, because again, people can relate to stories. So as you do in the podcast, you can tell your little story, you can have somebody else tell their little story, and then you can do the golden nugget and think about it. There'll be like a 3-pack of power in every single podcast.
And I am looking for books right now that have stories like that, like people who have done something, entrepreneurs who have built something, and the story of how they built it is like what I've been in, because I've read a ton and I'm in search for that, because that's what speaks to me. Just like you're saying, that's what speaks to other people too.
Yeah. Yay. So I think we crafted a little bit more of what that podcast content will be. And I will 100% be a guest on your podcast, right? You know that.
I want you to be. I can't wait.
It'll be so fun. It'll be so fun. I am going to widen the lens for people though, because people are listening and they're following and they ask questions and stuff. So the next handful of weeks, so we're talking from July 22nd until September 15th for 2 different reasons. For the astrologers out there, it's Venus going retrograde. It's then Mercury going retrograde on the 23rd of August. It is a time where there's no external validation. There's like confusion. It's like, so think about it. Doesn't that kind of blow? Like, because you're like, I just did something great. Crickets. I just can't wait to crickets. And that's because the universe is saying, hey, could you know how awesome you are, even if somebody doesn't tell you? So what type of things do we want to do? Well, first of all, we're going to have some really good tools around us that are helpful. I don't care if it's listening to someone who gave you a really good compliment and you're just going to play it in the morning, or you're going to read a testimonial that you have. Like, you're going to be doing those things. I'm not saying you, Julie, but I'm saying everybody, because even me, because it's going to be a long time. It's too many weeks. It's like 8 weeks. It's like, look at my face. It's too long. So, but what other things for business? What things for business would be really good? So it's a perfect time for client appreciation, as I said, or any customer loyalty. It's a great time to act like the leader that you are and help give your followers and people in your world some stability and some security and solid footing. It's a great time for human connection, any one-on-ones, any little extra TLC, nurturing your prospects or your clients. Great for team building and retreats. It's good for photo shoots and brand shoots, not to then like put them out into the world, but like just to have them. It's a really creative time if you already know the photographer. Not such a great time. What happens when Venus goes retrograde? It's like we might decide to redesign something or might decide to purchase something, and then we look at it after and we're like, why? Right? But if you already know something and you're doing it, that's fine. It's, as I said before, excellent for people in the health, beauty, and fitness industries. It's really good. Because think about it. People are going to go cuckoo. They're going to be like, I don't look good. I don't feel good. Right? So this is where you can swoop in and be like, hey, I got you.
Where I swoop in and tell them you're amazing just the way you are.
Mm-hmm.
But if you want to feel better, here's some things.
Right? Yeah. If you want to just feel better, if you want to feel stronger, if you want to feel more fit or what have you, right? It's a really good creative time. So for you, like thinking about your content, doing some recordings of podcasts, reaching out to people to be guests and doing those types of things. It's a great time to write a book. It's a great time to organize your social content. It's not a great time, like I said, for like a big blast. For those really super left brain business people, I don't know that you'd still be listening, but if you are still listening, it's a great time for planning, strategy, diving deeply into optimizing, streamlining, like just what I told you, Julie, like solidifying some things that you have. I know I am taking this time. We've got some, podcast things I'm going to be doing just from a readiness. I'm going to get ready for my 2024 forecast. I'm going to be writing a book, and I'm also going to be looking looking at some of our welcome sequences that we have for people coming in, because we've got great ones for people coming in that are new to our world, but connection calls and networking and like if I'm doing speaking, we don't really have great ones. So I am also optimizing. So great for all that.
I can't wait for your book and for all of this is so powerful.
Thank you. I have hired a book coach. Why? Because I want her to pull my stories out, because yes, it's a thing.
Do you find, so she's pulled out a lot of stories. She said, I have more stories than anybody she's ever helped write a book, and they're crazy stories.
Okay.
But I am resisting the ending because I'm like, how can I end this book? I'm not done.
Yeah, but that's how you can end it. You can end it by having it be a beginning.
Chapter 1.
Right? No, so
story.
But like you're going to want to make them thematic. You're going to want to make them teachable moments, obviously, right? But the end, my chapter, literally, last chapter is the opening to infinite possibility. Because I'm like you, we're not ending, we're just beginning.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just rejig those words and go for it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I do want to say, like, this ask is so big to be unwavering and all the things, right? So again, that's why we're going to pop the Star Boost connect contact link in here, just in case anybody wants to jump in. I'm doing next week, I'm going to do an hour-and-a-half webinar just for people. We're going to look at your stars, just kind of the way we looked at Julie's stars. We're going to give you tons of information. How can you be successful? How can you become recession proof? What would be the best thing for you to do during this time? And I want to do this because I'm in service in this way. I'm absolutely in service in this way. I want people to have an astrologer in their back pocket, and here we go, right? So I have 2 questions that we need to answer. I love the first one. The first one was from someone who's a Capricorn. I'm a Cap, so I know, right? Like, I love how the universe works. So the question was, how do I make sure I'm going with the flow and I'm doing things that are happening versus like fighting off different energies and feel like I'm kind of going against the grain. That's kind of a Capricorn thing, kind of an Aries thing though, too, like, because you have so much energy you can, but with Capricorns, different than Aries. Aries will be like, no worries, I'll just reset. Like, you didn't just reset on the fly. Caps are more like for a reset. They don't quite like, yeah, again, I'm a Cap. So this is probably one of the reasons why I became an astrologer, because then I get to know before the economics, I get to know before the industry leaders, I get to know before the business trends, and I get to know whenever I feel like it, because I can just go in and look at the stars, right? So for a Capricorn, have that foresight, have somebody who's telling you about Q3, Q4 next year, versus I do weekly forecasts. That's great. Aries, great. What do I need to know right now? Capricorns are like, that's so yesterday. Like, what is happening right now? Like, I need to know what's happening 6 weeks from now, 6 months from now. So this is where Capricorn, to start following an astrologer who's doing that outlook, would be a really good idea. And then another person talked about, how can I balance out the desires and like my own energetic design with profitability in business? That's a big one too, right? I will say this is exactly what the Venus retrograde that's coming up is about. So from July 22nd till September 3rd, I extended it 15th because another planet, but in this time, literally Venus does her dance every 9 months, every 18 months, every 4 years, like knowing what your desires are, knowing what your passions are stirring, knowing what you want to be doing in life. That's her jam. She's not so interested in like, go make money. She's not so interested in what your bottom line is. She's like, are you happy? Are you satisfied? Are you doing what you love? So it's taking some time right now and really looking at that over the next handful of weeks. You're going to get some answers. You'll get some answers. So the person who asked that definitely gets some answers. So Jewel, how can people get in touch with you?
Oh man, I am Rhino Julie everywhere. Super easy to find.
I love that.
Instagram me, Facebook me, LinkedIn me, julia@rhinojulie.com. So
I love that. I love
I
that.
am here.
I love that. And Tammy's saying that we have a question on LinkedIn, and it's wait, hold on a second. Sorry, I'm trying to like I'm a Sagittarius. What do you have for me? So for Sagittarius, it's so interesting. Fire sign, right? Like, so just when I was talking about with Julie does have very specific reasons. I was talking to her about finding hidden treasure. The part of that, though, that can go to general Sagittarius is that discovery, seeking, exploring, growing. All Sagittarius love that. I will tell you that this Venus retrograde is going to be a little bit more supportive because it's in a fire sign, but it's going to be a little bit more impactful too. So support sometimes doesn't feel like support. Support sometimes feels a little bit like tough love, right? So for the Sag is so gregarious, so social, so outward external that it might be a little tough when it's like crickets. Plan fun events. Like literally plan fun, like 100%. Any Sag, right? Throughout the rest of this, it's summer, Northern Hemisphere, plan fun. You will feel so much better if you do that. So anybody can find Julie, Rhino Julie, all across the world. You can find me, Kim Woods, all across the world. But again, if you want to do a Star Boost, come on in. I'm going to be here. I'm going to be here next week talking about, next week is Cuckoo Town, you guys. Like, I'm going to be talking about the Cuckoo Town nest, but then I'm going to be talking about like the rest of the year in my Star Boost program. So Julie, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. This was absolutely amazing because I've never even talked to an astrologer. You're my first. And so that was, yeah, so you're doing a great work, but I have such an open mind. I love everything that feels good to me, and this felt great to me. So I loved it.
Yeah.
So
I mean, you said yes in a hot minute. So you obviously went with that, right?
Well, I'm in that time of my life where it's like, I want to learn what's out there. I want to learn what's possible. I want to just be excited about everything that feels good and just leave my programming behind.
Yes. I love that. So I'm gonna go into LinkedIn and YouTube. So if anybody has any questions, want to leave any comments, I will go ahead and I will come back and I will answer them. But I actually am late for a strategy planning meeting for a client. So that's actually, I'm on a board. So I'm going to go hop on that. So Julie, thank you so much. Everybody in the audience, thank you so much. And until next